Inevitably, a lot of questions have been asked about the reputation of Parliament and politicians in the wake of the expenses scandal. Here's one from Mikey. He asks, do you believe any of the mainstream parties can still be trusted? Given the current track record, I think none of the big three will be trusted anymore, nor do they deserve to be voted in due to how they've behaved with the expenses.
Well, on expenses, I flatly reject this idea that all politicians are the same and all parties are the same. Are the Liberal Democrats angels? Did we have... No. Were there blemishes? Yes. But, you know, let's just remember the facts. The two most egregious abuses of the expenses system was MPs flipping from one property to the next at taxpayers' expense, basically doing properties up, selling them and pocketing the difference, and some of them avoiding the taxman, avoiding the payment of capital gains tax. Not a single Liberal Democrat MP did that. Not a single London or outer London Liberal Democrat MP even claimed the second home.
You didn't do that, did you?
Didn't do what?
Do those things you just mentioned?
No. What, flip or avoid capital gains tax? But neither did any of my colleagues.
You did have to repay some.
I had to pay, I think, £80–90 of a phone bill that were personal calls that I shouldn't have charged, and I had to pay money back for some gardening expenses. I'm not being silly, not angels, but what we're talking about here is the big sort of industrial scale abuses. The Liberal Democrats didn't do it, and more than that, we were the only party to force this out into the open in the first place. People have forgotten this. Labour and the Conservative parties conspired to stop the requests, the freedom of information requests, from lifting a lid on the whole rotten system in the first place.
Well, look, in one way at least, the trends to shake things up could help the Liberal Democrats. Electoral reform is looking pretty good for you, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure. We've been, as you know, saying for years and years and years now that it's just daft that we've got a Prime Minister, as we do at the moment, in Gordon Brown, whose party got, what, 22% of the eligible vote at the last general election. Something seriously wrong with our electoral system.
So there's now reform proposals in place to move things along?
Well, there's a reform proposal, if I understand it correctly, but it's quite difficult to quite understand what the government's now proposing, that they've done nothing for 13 years, and then right at the last moment they want to say that there should be a referendum on a system that is, frankly, the very bare minimum of change. It's not even a fully proportional system at some point in the future when they might not be in government. It's hardly an act of great courage advocating the sweeping political reform that I think we need. It's better than nothing, because, frankly, anything is better than the status quo, but it's not the real wholesale reform of party funding, electoral reform, the House of Lords, giving people the right to sack their MPs if their MPs have been shown to be corrupt, that I think is necessary.